The workday was coming to an end. Tired office workers were hurriedly coming home. Lillian diligently cleaned up her desk, got rid of the trash, sorted papers, put documents in the safe, dusted, and watered her favorite flowers she had brought from home. There was so much to do in the afternoon that the girl had to finish everything at the last minute. However, she was in no hurry, and for good reason. "Lillian, are you coming already? How much longer do we have to wait for you? Can't you at least leave some work for the cleaning lady?" asked Wanda, a friend and colleague of hers, in an irritated tone. "Wanda, don't wait for me," Lillian replied. "Alex and I are going to the movies tonight, and then we'll sit in a cafe. I've been promising him for a long time." "You decided to go out with that idiot again?" exclaimed Wanda in surprise, looking at her friend in bewilderment. "Aren't there any other men in the world but him?" "Wanda, well, you're saying the same thing again," Lillian muttered angrily. "Well, tell me, why can't you stand Alex? What has he done to you? Why don't you like the fact that I'm talking to him?" "You're still asking," said Wanda in an astonished tone. "That Alex of yours is a strange man. Cunning and secretive. It's better not to mess with him at all. Just look at him. It's written all over his face that he's a loser. Lillian, you know I only wish you well." "Well, then please don't interfere in my personal life," the angry girl interrupted her friend gently. "I'm not a child. I'll figure it out on my own. Thank you for worrying about me, but it's unnecessary, believe me. You go, Wanda. Don't wait for me. Alex is coming down here now, and I haven't had time to finish everything yet. See you tomorrow, friend." You silly girl, Lillian," Wanda grimaced and left the office. Lillian joined the company as an account manager only a few months ago. In that time, she had managed to win the favor of her superiors and make friends with several of the girls in her department. Some representatives of the stronger sex tried to impress her, but she was sure that she should grow in her position first, and only then think about relationships. However, the acquaintance with Alex happened extremely unexpectedly, as well as grew into something more. Having not slept through the night because of overly noisy neighbors, Lillian could barely keep her legs moving that morning. She bought herself a coffee from the vending machine, but before she knew it, she bumped into Alex. The coffee stain spread all over Alex's white shirt, and the guy himself didn't even flinch. Though it was obvious he was burned, Lillian hurriedly apologized. Alex answered her somehow crumpled, and the girl felt guilty before him. That night, she suggested that Alex have coffee with her as a sign of reconciliation, and he agreed. Lillian liked the guy. She found it interesting and pleasant to talk with him, because he was well-mannered and erudite. Alex knew a lot of interesting things and instantly made a positive impression on Lillian. No one on the team took the guy seriously. Everyone tried to stay as far away from him as possible, talking to him only when necessary. And he himself kept away from everyone, communicated with almost no one, and was able to open up only to Lillian. The girl could not understand why her new friend and admirer was called a freak by her colleagues. What was it about him that repulsed everyone around him? Alex was a good-looking guy with big blue eyes. However, neither his appearance nor his personality traits attracted anyone in the office except Lillian, and this remained a mystery to her. She hadn't noticed any oddities in Alex's behavior, and when she asked why others shunned him, they merely chuckled and said he was still dependent on his mother. But Alex was not at all like a mama's boy, so Lillian convinced herself that she shouldn't pay any attention to her colleagues. The girl went to the park with Alex several times. From time to time, they had lunch together at a nearby cafe, and a couple of other times Alex walked Lillian home. So the young people started dating. They made no secret of the fact that they were in a romantic relationship. Some people in the office were shocked to see Lillian, shook their heads in puzzlement, and smirked indulgently. And some openly twirled their index finger against their temple. Colleagues did not understand why such a beautiful and intelligent girl paid attention to Alex and not to someone else. And she passed her colleagues sitting in the dining room during their lunch break. She repeatedly heard them whispering to one another. "Oh, she's determined to make our weirdo happy," the brunette marketing girl said dismissively, snorting. She must have a syndrome that, well, what do you call it? Ha! I hear you. Must be getting married soon. Pretty and weird like Beauty and the Beast, replied the blonde. And then they both laughed. Lillian had never been dependent on other people's opinions, so the conversation among her colleagues had no effect on her mood or her thinking. She was simply curious as to the reason why the whole staff disliked her boyfriend. Meanwhile, Alex was not the only one courting Lillian in the office. A young man from the personnel department did not give her a pass. He gave her signs of attention almost from the first day she appeared in the office. David did not arouse any bright feelings in Lillian, unlike Alex. More than once the man asked her out. He insistently invited her to the cinema, cafe, and theater, but every time she flatly refused. She was in a friendly chat with David, and he was sincerely pleased with this as well. Sometimes David had lunch with Lillian when Alex was out of the office, for which her lover would reprimand the girl and tell her that rumors would circulate about her as a frivolous girl. Such words Lillian did not take seriously. She was well aware that Alex was just jealous of her and tried to make sure that he had no more reason to have such an improper, oppressive feeling. Lillian liked hanging out with David too, but it so happened that she herself did not notice how she became Alex's girlfriend, and therefore she should not do what her young man did not like. "Sweetheart, let's have dinner with my mother tonight," Alex said in an affectionate and obliging tone as the two lovers left the office. "She wanted to meet you for a long time. I'm sure my mother will make a good impression on you because she's a wonderful woman. And she's a great cook, too. Once you try her pies, you'll never want to eat any other pie." "Are you sure it's time to meet your mother?" asked Lillian in confusion. The girl was not yet sure of her feelings. She thought the relationship had to get much more serious before she could meet his parents, but Alex's attitude was apparently serious. "What if she doesn't like me at all?" asked Lillian, determined to somehow justify her reluctance to meet the mother. "Come on, honey, I'm sure you'll win her over at first sight with your charming, kind smile and deep, thoughtful gaze. You'll make friends with her, I assure you. My mother is a simple woman, she won't be any trouble." Lillian understood that her refusal would offend Alex. She had to agree, though she felt that her intuition told her otherwise. Lori made a good impression on Lillian. She seemed a caring and understanding woman. She praised the girl and said she and Alex were a wonderful couple. The woman did not treat her son like a small child at all. She did not wipe his nose like they said in the office. And didn't have to be wary of her feelings. A month after meeting Alex's mother, Lillian had an unforeseen problem that took away her peace of mind. She was renting a one-room apartment near her work, but her landlord suddenly announced that he was selling the apartment and had already found a buyer. He gave Lillian a week to pack up and leave. The girl was desperate. She did not know what to do and where to move to. Lillian could not find anything suitable for her. The housing was either too expensive or too far away from her place of work. That's when Alex decided to come to the aid of his chosen one. "Honey, why don't you move in with me? I have a big room. You and I can fit comfortably in it, and I don't live too far from the office. I think that's a great idea, don't you? In fact, you and I should get married. We're not kids anymore. Why not legalize our relationship?" This was not how Lillian had imagined a marriage proposal. She thought it had to happen in some special way. However, she was sympathetic to the words of Alex, who approached life from the practical side. He was far from romantic, but he did not know how to do something beautifully. But he cared about his beloved. The girl agreed to legalize their relationship the same evening. She moved into her fiancé's apartment. Lori was happy that Lillian and Alex had decided to live together, but she insisted that the wedding should not be delayed. So the lovers legalized their relationship the next morning. Living under the same roof as her future mother-in-law, Lillian occasionally caught strange looks. Lori seemed to look at her angrily, but as soon as she asked if everything was all right, a smile appeared on the woman's lips. "Sure, honey, it's okay. How could you think otherwise? I wish nothing but happiness for my son, and I'm glad you'll be together," the woman said, but in a strained way. Lillian was in no hurry to share her assumptions with Wanda. She was afraid that her colleague would not understand her, because she already disliked Alex. Alex and Lillian did not celebrate the wedding. They modestly signed early in the morning and drove to work. Lillian felt like she was trapped in something, like she was doing something she didn't want to do. This feeling made her extremely uncomfortable. The girl had no family. Her grandfather, who had raised her, died a few years ago, and she was left all alone in the big world. The only person close to her was her husband, but as soon as she began to share her assumptions with him, Alex's mood soured. "You're imagining all these oblique glances. My mother likes you. It's all right. She's happy we got married. What did you want? To be bowed at your feet every day like a queen?" The man snorted irritably at his wife. One day, something happened that finally shocked Lillian. Lillian's special Women's Day didn't come on time, and Lillian was very upset. Her stomach hurt, and she was afraid she'd caught an infection again. What it had taken to cure herself as a teenager when she had caught an infection in a public restroom, the girl was terrified of the treatment that might lie ahead of her. She talked to Alex and told him that she should inform her boss that she would not be able to go to work, because she had to see a doctor and make sure everything was all right. "Look, maybe you're pregnant?" Alex asked with a frown. "I don't know," the girl shrugged. "To be honest, I wouldn't even allow myself the thought. Anyway, I need to get to a doctor to get everything checked out." Alex looked frightened at his chosen one and shrugged his shoulders in confusion. However, Lillian was not able to go to the gynecologist because there were problems with a new project at work. So 3 days passed. At night, the girl awoke because she heard someone's voices. Opening her eyes, Lillian saw the face of Lori leaning over her, who was dressed in a long, snow-white shirt. She held a sack of some hideous-smelling herbs in her hand and mumbled to herself, pouring them over the girl's stomach. Lillian cried out in fright and jumped frantically from the bed. An unspeakable horror gripped her. Only at that moment did she notice Alex standing beside his mother, watching what was going on and reading something from a black sheet of paper. Lillian noticed the salt that was scattered around the bed. "What's going on here? What are you doing?" cried Lillian frightenedly. "Leave me alone. Leave now." "Be quiet," Alex commanded, glaring angrily at the dumbfounded girl. "Don't interfere with my mother's right." "What right? What nonsense is that? I'm going to scream. I'll wake up all the neighbors and call the police in the end," Lillian said in shock. After these words, Lori reluctantly left her son's room. As soon as the door closed behind her, Lillian stunnedly asked Alex, "What was that, Alex? What does that even mean? What kind of nonsense is that? Are you taking part in your mother's crazy games?" "My mother only wanted to help us," Alex said nonchalantly, looking at his trembling, frightened wife with annoyance. "You understand? We don't need a baby right now. We don't have enough money ourselves right now. We need to earn money first before we can think about children. I told my mother about your delayed menstruation. She said her ritual would help get rid of the baby." "Oh my God," cried Lillian frightenedly, for the words of her chosen one drove her wildly terrified. "Who have I messed with? I thought it was all a rumor. You said your mother entertained herself with trinkets lying around the house, like amulets and bags of salt. But it turned out to be more serious than that. Tell me, did she put a spell on me too? What nonsense. I don't want to stay here anymore." Lillian jumped up from her seat and started packing. Alex tried to stop her, to talk her out of it, but he was unsuccessful. The girl quickly gathered her things and jumped out of the apartment. She got out of the staircase and sobbed uncontrollably on the bench tiredly. Lillian was in utter despair and had no idea what to do, where to go. She had no roof over her head. Going back to Alex and his mother was out of the question. He had shared a secret with his mother before he had even known if his wife was pregnant. He didn't try to talk to Lillian and ask her what she wanted. To get rid of a baby that might not even be there, and to get rid of it in such a subtle way. Of course, Lillian thought it was strange that her mother-in-law was drawn to amulets, but she did not think that she would perform such horrible rites. At first, the girl remembered Wanda. She decided to call her friend and ask her to stay with her for a while, but very soon she gave up that idea, because Wanda lived in a one-room apartment with her parents and younger brother. Suddenly, Lillian's phone beeped. letting her know that someone had sent her a message. At first, she was frightened. She thought it was Alex. But seeing the name of a colleague and friend on the display made her feel better. She opened the message and read what it said. "Sorry for writing so late. You're probably already asleep. I just wanted to tell you that I managed to get that book in English that you have been dreaming of for so long. I'll bring it to the office tomorrow morning. Good night, Lillian." The girl smiled through her tears. She was touched by the kindness of David, who one day during a conversation accidentally learned that Lillian had long dreamed of buying a rare book by her favorite author. David remembered this and found the book to please the girl and made her dream come true. "Thank you, David. What have you done means a lot to me. You always help me. I need your help even now. I really need you," Lillian replied to the message. David soon called back, and Lillian, sobbing bitterly and in tears, told him that she was in a hopeless situation. And stunned by her story, the young man offered to help her. So the girl temporarily settled in the apartment of her longtime admirer and began to look for a suitable place to live. Only then did she really get to know the man she had been indifferent to for several years. David surrounded Lillian with attention and care, reassured and supported her. He did not pressure the girl, trying to take advantage of the fact that she was in a difficult emotional state after her breakup with Alex. The man did everything he could to distract the girl from her sad thoughts and to give her positive energy. David soon found a suitable apartment for Lillian, which was close to the office. He was able to negotiate with the landlord and get a significant discount. The man paid for the first month himself and soon moved her belongings into her new apartment. "Thank you, David," the girl whispered in a trembling, anxious voice. She lowered her head in embarrassment, realizing there was nothing more she could say. "I will never forget your kindness. You were there when I needed it most." "Oh, there's no need to thank," the man said reverently. "I would do anything for you. You know that. More than anything, I want to see you happy, and I could turn the world upside down for just one smile from you. As pathetic as it sounds, I won't let anyone hurt you. I'll wipe out anyone who hurts you." Lillian looked at David with gratitude and touching tenderness. She now had no doubt that she would be like a stone wall beside this man, that God had given her not only a faithful, caring friend, but a beautiful, worthy companion. She did not hurry, however. She had not yet recovered from her breakup with Alex. Lillian had a hard time working with her ex-husband in the same firm. She divorced Alex, but he still gave her no peace and came down to her department every day to try to win the girl back again. Alex, despite everything that had happened, was unusually persistent and eloquent. What pleased Lillian was that her assumptions had turned out to be wrong. She was not pregnant by Alex. "Lillian, how long are you going to hold a grudge against me? Come on. I can't do without you. Your place is by my side. You're my woman," Alex said in a cocky tone, walking up to his ex-wife during her lunch break and grabbing her hand. At that moment, Lillian realized that she had finally let go. Alex had manipulated her before. First, he'd made her feel guilty about that spilled coffee. Then he'd often pressured her to think she was an outcast and to feel sorry for herself. Now she finally let go. She realized she didn't love Alex either. She hadn't planned to get married, but it all happened too quickly, and she herself didn't realize how she'd let it happen. Now it was as if Lillian's eyes had been opened. If Alex wasn't bewitching her with his mother's rituals, he was definitely manipulating her skillfully. But now the truth was on her side. "Let go of me," cried Lillian abruptly, dazed in surprise. "You're hurting me. I told you that our relationship was a big mistake. There can be nothing more between us. Forget me. Do you hear me? Leave me alone. I don't want to see you anymore. Don't come after me." Lillian didn't want to lose her good job because of her ex-husband's inappropriate behavior, but she didn't know how to make sure Alex didn't bother her anymore. She did not tell David about it because she knew that the furious man would not be ceremonious with the insolent, restless colleague and would quickly put him in his place. But fate had decided otherwise. David did learn the truth that day. On his way out of the office with the other men, David unwittingly witnessed Lillian and Alex arguing. He stopped abruptly for a second and froze in place, holding his breath. "You think I don't know the reason you've been avoiding me? You fell in love with a man from your department, didn't you? You quickly found a replacement for me. It didn't take you long to suffer for me, and you kept swearing your love and devotion. You're just a liar. You're incapable of love and appreciation." The angry Alex swung his arm sharply at Lillian, wanting to punish her. But David was there in time to stop him. He swung his fist across his colleague's face, causing Alex to fall to the floor, unsteady on his feet. "Don't ever go near Lillian again. Understand?" That was a warning blow. After the second one, you won't get up so fast. Don't let me see you anywhere near her again. Get out of here while I'm still somehow holding myself together. "I'll go," the stunned Alex replied with a long sob. "You shouldn't have done that, Lillian. You'll regret it later, but it'll be too late." Lillian hugged David with tears in her eyes and laid her head on his shoulder. At that moment, she realized that she had found her true love, that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with this beautiful, kind, gentle, caring, and generous man who had managed to heal her wounded soul. Soon, Lillian and David began dating, and a few months later, the lovers were married. Alex no longer approached his ex-wife, but watched her intently from afar. Lillian more than once caught his interested and greedy glances, which made her frightened heart sink in her chest. The boss could see how tense the atmosphere was in the team. Not wanting to lose any of his staff, he suggested that the newlyweds move to a new branch of the company, which was being opened in another city in a managerial position. David and Lillian agreed because they had great opportunities there. It was not until 5 years later that the happy couple came to their hometown to see family and friends. David and Lillian met Wanda in the park, who had been in touch with them the whole time. She told them that Alex had not changed a bit over the years. "Oh, he's still the same loser and weirdo," Wanda grinned contemptuously. "The whole staff shuns him. Nobody wants to see him. He's still always following his mommy, who seems to have tied him to herself with an invisible chain. She is, of course, happy because that is what she wanted. Alex has no woman. Who needs him? He's nothing but trouble and problems." Lillian was horrified at her friend's words. She squeezed her husband's hand tightly and mentally thanked God for showing her the true face of Alex in time. She also thanked God for David, who had become the whole world to her. Lillian understood one thing that day. When she would have a son, she would never tie him to her, with excessive care and blind love. She would give her child the freedom to go wherever his soul wished, and he would find happiness.